The Old Woman in Red. This whole thing happened to me? Well, actually, to my friend Mr. Wang. Back when he was about to take his college entrance exam. More than 10 years ago, he's from Xinjiang. And before the exam, students there had to adjust to the same schedule as the mainland. So they got a 1-week break. On the night before the break, a group of friends decided to have some drinks. Thinking about it now, it still gives them chills. They were nervous, you know. So they wanted to relax a bit with alcohol. But back then, Xinjiang had a curfew after midnight. All bars, milk tea shops, anywhere that sold drinks had to close. By the time it was past 12, every place was shut down. They had nowhere to go. One of Mr. Wang's friends was renting an old small apartment with his girlfriend. So they called him to ask if they could go over and hang out for a bit. Now, this friend was the type who never refused anyone. But that night, he acted strange. When he picked up, he barely said anything. Just, "Don't come. Please, don't come." That was really odd. And in the background, they could hear his girlfriend crying. They thought maybe the two had a fight. But Mr. Wang didn't know where his friend lived exactly. So he listened carefully. It sounded like they were outside. Curious, they decided to go anyway. 6 or 7 of them went together. When they arrived, they found the girlfriend sitting near a pavilion, crying hard. Mr. Wang asked, "What happened? Did you two argue?" After a long time, the friend finally spoke. He said that earlier, when they were in bed, he was playing on his old Nokia phone. The screen was small, but out of the corner of his eye, he could still see beyond it, toward the balcony. He said he kept feeling like something was moving out there. He looked, but there was nothing. He looked again, still nothing. And then, after a few more glances, he saw it, an old woman wearing a red dress, her face twisted and horrifying, her hair thin and sparse. His girlfriend was terrified. She started crying, saying they had to leave right away. But the friend didn't believe in ghosts. He said, "Where can we even go now? Maybe we're just stressed out. It's just an illusion." So they stayed. He lay down again, facing the balcony. But he couldn't stop looking at it. Then, around the time the others were drinking, he suddenly woke up and saw the old woman in the red dress jumping on the balcony. That's when they both panicked, grabbed their things, and ran out. When the others heard the story, they thought it was nonsense, just nerves. So they decided to go up and check it out. They bought some beer and snacks and went upstairs, planning to play cards until dawn, help them pack, and send them off. Mr. Wang, being a sports student, had a regular sleep schedule. So after a while, he got sleepy and lay down on the couch. When he woke up, everyone was gone. Only one friend was still there, trembling on the couch. Mr. Wang asked, "What happened?" The friend whispered that he saw something and kept glancing toward the dark bedroom. Everyone else had been playing cards in the living room, but that friend kept peeking into the dark room. After a few times, he suddenly froze. He saw an old woman's head slowly peeking out from the darkness and then pulling back in. They all panicked and ran, forgetting Mr. Wang on the couch. Later, another friend came back upstairs to grab him. Mr. Wang was terrified, but they still had to go back upstairs to get their luggage. When they entered again, all the lights were off, even though they had left them on before. It was strange. They grabbed some clothes and a bag in a hurry. And just as they were about to close the door, someone slammed it. From the inside, they froze, then bolted down the stairs, literally jumping steps as they ran. Months later, during the Lunar New Year, Mr. Wang told this story to his aunt. His aunt happened to be a police officer, in charge of investigating deaths. She went silent, then said, "That old lady, she used to live in that apartment. She was a retired teacher, lived alone, very isolated. She took her own life there." Mr. Wang's aunt was the one who handled that case. She remembered it clearly, and when she described what the old woman looked like, it matched exactly what Mr. Wang's friends had seen that night. It wasn't a coincidence. It couldn't be. The old lady in the hospital dormitory. When I was 17, that was when I first developed that special sensitivity. I lived alone on the 5th floor, the top floor of the hospital's family dormitory. I was in high school and wanted some peace and quiet. My mom was a surgeon who had worked in the hospital's operating room for many years. She never believed in anything supernatural. One night, it was pouring heavily outside. After evening study, I came home soaked. My mom came by to bring me dinner. She asked if I was scared of the storm and wanted to stay with me, but I was trying to act grown up. Told her I'd be fine and sent her back home. I sat in the dining room to eat. The dining table was right next to the living room window. Suddenly, a loud clap of thunder hit. All the lights went out. I wasn't easily scared, so I just finished my meal in the dark. Then went to the kitchen to look for candles before taking a shower. Under the candle shelf was the gas stove lighter, but no matter how I reached for it, I couldn't find it. So I decided to grab my cigarette lighter from the balcony instead. I smoked back then, and smoking on the balcony had become a habit. Just as I turned around with the candle in my hand, a sudden gust of wind blew the balcony door wide open. The balcony was about 50 feet from the kitchen, and the wind was so strong it almost knocked the air out of me. I bent down to light the candle, but when I looked up, right in front of my face, was an old woman's pale, twisted face, her hair and skin distorted, staring at me up close. I froze completely. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. I could only watch as that old woman slowly backed away into the living room. She began to weep softly while walking around the house, and finally disappeared out onto the balcony. It took a long time before I could move again. I ran into my bedroom and locked the door, but then realized the bedroom window was connected to the balcony. Terrified, I crawled on all fours into the bathroom and shut the door tight. From inside, I heard the sound of someone shuffling across the floor, along with faint crying. That was the last thing I remembered before blacking out. The next morning, around 6, my mom stopped by before her early shift to clean up. She found me unconscious, asleep on the bathroom floor. She woke me up, and I told her everything. She scolded me, said I was imagining things, that I was just being a coward, and told me to hurry to school. But that night, after class, my mom called and told me not to go back to the dormitory. She had arranged for me to stay at my grandma's house instead. Later, she even changed our apartment from the 5th floor down to the 3rd. I kept asking her why. She only told me the truth much later. It turned out there had been an old woman with terminal cancer, one of her patients, who had undergone surgery in my mom's operating room. They couldn't save her. She spent her final week in that same dormitory building and passed away there. Before she died, she blamed my mom for not saving her life. When my mom used to live in that same apartment, the curtains would open by themselves at night. She'd hear someone calling her name outside the window, but there was nothing there, just a wall. Once, after a night shift, she saw that same old lady standing by the turn between the 4th and 5th floors, smiling and greeting her. It was only when she got home that she remembered. The woman had already died. My mom had always been uneasy about that place, but she let me live there because I needed a quiet space to study. 8 years had passed since the incident, and she thought the spirit would have moved on. But apparently, even after death, that soul never left, still haunting that same apartment. After we finally moved out, we never encountered her again.